Collectors Anonymous. We are back with another video. We are late and we are not live. What is this? I know. So, in the interest of just being able to post these videos every week, I want to make it a little bit more accessible for myself and the person that I'm interviewing to kind of, be themselves and not feel rushed and whatnot. So we're going to be doing pre-recorded interviews now, and I will just be posting them every week as videos. But I'll have in the title, as you can see, Collectors Anonymous, and you will know the difference between my normal, regular videos, But I'm super pumped about tonight's guest. He is very animated and very outspoken, very opinionated, and I mean, just the people that I love to have on my chat, because as you know, you guys, I kind of keep to myself. So we ask the questions to other people and then they, give their opinions. But without further ado, let's bring on Mr. Cletus. Here we go.
The king of pop. Viper. Keep your women away, baby.
There we go. All right. So, Mr. Cletus Seldin, we're going to get started chatting about you, and we're going to get into some serious details. But, I mean, first, what's up with the name right here? King of Pop, a.k.a. Viper? I mean...
A.k.a. the King of Pop, a.k.a. Viper, the 1/6 scale Lord. It's something that I kind of took its own persona during COVID this year, or last year, where we just changed up like everything, where you normally get collectors in general, it's just some guy wearing a t-shirt that's like dirty, or like they wore the night before and just like sweatpants, and they just going on for like a little thing. And then it just became like its own character during COVID, when I would just go like toy hunting with like a Bane mask. And then I would start going consistently. We're just doing live streams. And if you're streaming 3 days a week, you kind of have to like come up with like some kind of like role, some kind of entertainment. Like some people come in
persona
to watch,
of some sort. Yeah.
Right. Like you don't know what we're going to do. Like even last stream, I did like 100 push-ups straight, like 100 push-ups at the end of the stream. I was like, all right, let's go. You guys did it. So I would say the change of character has helped me develop better as a person overall, and helped me with even my boxing career, to be able to pursue a character just like an actor would, and be able to perform under those circumstances. So in boxing, I'm one of the, I could talk the talk. So this is just has helped me benefit from that. And it just gives you that, it's almost that troll look too. Like people like, they hate me for it.
Is that a real mullet? I have to ask,
yeah,
or is that?
I've been growing this thing out since COVID started. I've been growing this bad boy out since COVID last year. Look at that thing flies. Usually got my hair dyed.
Wow,
man,
it really it takes a certain individual to not only want to, but you wear it well. Doesn't look bad at all.
Thank you. And then I wear this outfit out even in public, when it's the summertime. I wear these shorts like a motherfucker. I was just, people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, what are you gonna do?
Say something. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Right? Like, so I remember when I was newly single years ago, and I was like, all right, I'm going out to the club, getting dressed up, got my fitted on, I got my shirt, I got my pants on. I go to the club. And I go look around and I go, what the flock? Everybody's dressed the same way. How am I gonna go? And I can introduce myself as, hey, I'm Cletus Seldin, I'm a professional boxer. Like, no, I don't do that. So I'm like, all right, I gotta change up this whole look. So at that time, I changed my entire look from wearing, like a polo and Nike Yankee hat and pants and sneakers into a 1920s theme dress shirt old school boxers, vest, khaki pants, white t-shirts all the time. And it turns out that that's actually one of the cheapest ways to actually look, technically I am different than everybody else. I don't work a 9-to-5 job or do anything that regular people do. So I was just felt different to where it was just a little bit easier to put those outfits on and give you the confidence to show up somewhere. I'm not a guy that has like 10 girlfriends. I'm on to my 3rd girlfriend ever. So it's like
Aw.
10 years, 6 year, and then this time. So it's like, confidence in that. I really don't need it. I just need it in Deion Sanders said the best. Dress good, you look good. If you look good, you play good. You play good, you paid good. So that's the attitude.
That is. All right. So before we get into all of it, just if you can give kind of a brief summary if somebody watching may not watch boxing or just getting into pop collecting or any kind of collector. Just give us a little intro into you.
Ooh, that's actually where we're going to find this. So my name is Cletus Seldin from Long Island, New York. I grew up in the early 90s. I was born in 86. So growing up through pop culture and a low-class, blue-collar person, didn't get too many toys, didn't get too many collectibles. And then all of a sudden I started making money as an adult, which many of you guys have done the same, and found yourself wanting to get that nostalgia back by going toy shopping and buying collectibles. And the one thing that these toy companies do very well is they still keep it to the nostalgia factor where you go up to the store, there might not be there. They just twiddle these things in to just give that same nostalgia factor as if you were hunting these down back in the day in the early 90s or in the 90s in general. They do a great job at giving you that same feeling as if you were back then, because that's how the companies know that who's buying these figures, adults, collectors, obviously. My biggest passion right now is probably the same one I grew up with. I really enjoy picking up the NECA Teenage Mutant Turtle stuff and the Pokemon stuff more than anything. As a kid, I remember most people who watch my channel know I used to have to steal those cards from 7-Eleven. There was no way there's no way in hell I was about to ask my dad to go buy me a Pokemon card. So me and Lasardo went in there, we would steal our cards, and then Brittany Gluck told on us, and that girl told on us, and we gave back some energy cards or whatever, and then I beat that girl up with a binder. On the last day of school, purple binder.
I beat that girl up with a binder. On the last day of school, purple binder.
First time. I used to always get in trouble because I was always at parties, and I always fight the girls. Like I would fight them on a trampoline, and I would just beat them up, and I would always beat up the girls because it was so much fun. Because none of the guys would fight back, so the girls would always be so competitive. So it was so much fun. But I am the most unique channel on the web out of when it comes to toy collecting. Everybody tries to be extremely serious, or they try to be too funny. None of them are really authentic. I literally, anybody around me would say I have no filter, and that basically sums up that part. And I'm a world-ranked professional boxer.
We're going to talk about your interesting opinions, your outspoken opinions. Don't worry.
Right. Big best thing was Popcorn and Flicks. The couple that were out there scamming people and faking mystery boxes and faking them, open up all his mail. And I went out there and I made a video, and then I made a live stream a week before I fought, and I was so pumped that I remember there was 600 viewers in that live stream. It's this couple moved back to their parents' house saying that they got no money, but they would unbox these $100 mystery boxes to where they would open up basically a headless neck and stalk and be like, oh, wow, I didn't know we got this. I'm like, you guys already reboxed it. Don't try to play this. And then I told them how they're scamming people. And then I said it in so many different ways that people at the time hated me for it. Like they put so much negativity on me, and then a year later comes by and they robbed $100 and something thousand from all these collectors, and I was like, and the worst thing too, when you do stuff like that, you know, when you're the villain and people talk negative about you, they don't come back and apologize, comment after comment, message after message. But then all of a sudden you prove them wrong, and they, oh, I guess he was right. Now, what do you mean? What do you mean I was just all right? Get out of here.
So what initially got you into collecting? You said that you've kind of been collecting since you were little, like a kid, you know.
Yeah, so I think
Under the
everybody goes through
radar.
the same phases. I think we all go through the same phases. You know, we grow up collecting, and then right
You want it
around
back.
middle school, you know, what's more important, collecting stuff or playing sports and hanging out with, or trying to impress girls, right? Like,
True.
or right? So, like, what are you gonna do? It's Friday night. I'm gonna go. I don't even know what they
Party.
did back then. Like, and especially collectibles back then is trash. You know, so
Party, I'm sure. I know. I remember my sister, she at one point had so many Pokemon cards. She had so many Beanie Babies, all of those things. And now, when this Pokemon bubble, which we'll get to, had like blown up, I called her and I was like, you don't happen to have that like big binder of Pokemon cards. She was like, oh man, I gave it to our niece and nephews who I know. I mean, ripped them out, destroyed them. And I'm just like, oh man, I was like, you could have made a lot of money, man. And she
that's
was like,
their house right
damn.
there.
All right, so
Yeah.
you kind of wanted your nostalgia back, like everybody else.
So actually I always so once I started becoming a professional boxer and getting some little bit of money, I would start collecting. I started getting back into certain hobbies that I've never done before. Painting miniatures was a big one, you know,
Okay.
and then doing Lego pieces as well. Because I used to always just play video games on my downtime. At one point, I was ranked in the top like 300 in Madden and top 100 in NHL. Like I would play it. That's like that was my thing. When you grow up again, blue collar kid, not that much money. You only get one game every year. My mom bought me Madden for my birthday, and I'll play that game like no other.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing with hockey. Years later, but so when you just only you get one game, you play it's like
Oh yeah.
you burn
it
that
out.
thing out. So I always played video games, and then all of a sudden, I started getting into the Lego stuff and painting the miniatures, which was great for my attention span. Just being able to be focused on something for 6-8 hours, painting something or doing Lego pieces. And then I started doing some Twitch stuff. I used to do a Clash of Clans. Remember that game, Clash of Clans? It was this game
I
called
never
Clash Royale.
personally played it, but I've heard about it a ton.
So Clash of Clans came out, and I used to stream on Twitch like 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Like one of my first videos on YouTube has like 500,000 views. It was like a Smurf Village game because people just think I'm this boxer thing, but I'm like this real like stupid geek.
Tell me about this alleged world's largest Funko Pop collection.
Oh, so back in 2019, I signed up for the Guinness Book of World Records. At the time, the Guinness Book of World Records, there was only like 1,000 or 1,200 pops. So I requested to do the world's largest Funko Pop collection. It is very time consuming. And if you are trying to do anything but that, you're not going to get it done. And for me, I just didn't have the ability to just focus on it and to just go get it. So what you need to do for the Guinness Book of World Records is you need to, one, have a public place to put everything. So I was going to put everything at a boxing gym. You then have to have 2 people who are certified to actually take place. So you have to find like maybe a comic book shop or somebody that's known in the collecting community to be part of it, to make sure that they write down everything. And what the hardest part for me is bringing over 2,000 Funko Pops to a gymnasium that it would have to be completely organized by box. it's a process. I got to bring all the pops that you have to open up to the public, and you have to have the news there as well. You know, this is
It's a whole big thing. Yeah.
A lot of work.
So before we get too deep into like the collecting and whatnot, I do want you to touch on, just because that's a huge part of who you are, your boxing career. Like, kind of give us like a little brief overview of that, if you may.
All right. So I started boxing at 22, which is very old for somebody to start, but I was always a three-sport athlete, competed in football. We were won a Long Island championship, state champ wrestler, and I always just wanted to find I had my dream as a kid. I wanted to be a professional athlete. So I searched it. At the time, MMA was illegal. I was doing a lot of that and in New York. So I just found myself into a boxing gym, possibly the worst boxer in history. And because I was the worst boxer in history, I was very determined on changing that. So I found out by being in extremely great shape and conditioning wise, you're able to beat other people who have been in the sport much longer. You might be the best 2-round fighter in the world. What happens when it's 3 rounds? So I worked really hard for that. And then I went professional. The one thing that I learned throughout my experience was everything I did in high school playing football that none of these boxers ever did. These boxers are all, they're tall and skinny. I'm muscular and strong. So I was able to use that to my advantage, and I had to knock people out. And I'm not trying to win them by points. I'm just trying to hurt people. And I enjoy doing it very much. I enjoy being in great shape. I enjoy performing. And I took it to where I became
24-0? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's 25-1 with 20 knockouts. Current WBA, NABA champ. I beat Zav Judah for for one of my titles. I used to be ranked 4th in the world. I was the 3rd fighter in history to fight on HBO. Fought on ESPN, MSG, fought Madison Square Garden, and still at it.
Go nice. That's impressive. I mean, that's not many people can say that. I mean, not many boxers can say that. That's impressive.
Most boxers, their hobbies are having kids, drinking, partying, gambling. I invest my money in something I enjoy. So, and I mean by what I invest too, because I fight for my money. So I'm not going to go spend my money and just throw it away on anything, even though like
blood, sweat, and tears.
Heck yeah, every day. And I think the most I spent $10,000 in 1 month on Funko Pops in like August 2017. Just boom. And then if you go look, there's the first video I ever posted on YouTube is from that, and then if you go back and look at those pops that I bought at those prices, they Darth Maul paid $1,100 for it, goes for $5,000-$10,000. I always knew about you'd have good taste in collecting. Like if you go out there and you go buy all these gamer games, or you start buying all these the Marvel or common stuff now, like you're gonna be in trouble. You can be selling those flops for $5, $10, or you're gonna be holding them for like 20 years to get any of your money or something inflated wise. So by having good taste over the years, saved me. Like, because there's just some, if you collect a video game and the video game is dead, then it's a dead collectible.
So speaking of like value investments, money, do you hate the certain like kind of like stigma that people have where like if you care about value, you're not considered like a real collector, whatever you want to call it? Like people think that you should be collecting things because you love them, not because of what they're worth. What do you say to that?
I think you collect long enough, you find yourself as somebody that collects for value, because if you have so much stuff taking up so much space and you look through it every single day, you got to figure out in your mind what's your next move. If not, you're a pure hoarder in yourself. And this is this is the best example you'll ever hear of a real collector. Real collector, Funko Pops especially, because a lot of people just fall into the game and just buy so many of them. They buy their collection. Year, 2 year goes long. They go to their comic book shop and they sell it for a third of the price. You put that effort into buying them, you should put that same effort into selling them the same exact way, from either getting your money back, putting your time and effort. I don't care if it breaks even or if you just break less. you should put that effort into selling those figures that you bought. I always felt as if you went there and you took your collection and you got a third of it, is you weren't a collector. You were only in it for interest of making money. And so there's a big difference in that kind of style. You know, say I bought all this stuff, and I was like, you know, I don't like it no more. And I brought it over to the comic book shop, and they gave me a third of what I paid for it. I'd be like, yo, I'm a I'm a and if you're doing that, you a
Well, it's a fair opinion to have, I suppose. I mean, I agree. Like, I'm not, and again, this just kind of runs along my, like, I don't really have opinions about things that, like, don't really concern me. I don't really care why people collect. You collect because you want to resell later. You collect because you love them. You collect because of whatever reason. I mean, like, good for you. I don't think any one reason or one particular situation makes you or doesn't make you a collector. I feel like people collect for, I mean, a million different things. And it doesn't always have to be because you love something.
My thing is, I'm really not into, people always use the word flipper or scalper kind of game. And like, the people see me buy like 2 or 3 of things and like, oh, you a flipper or a scalper? I'm like, I ain't trying to make $10. I ain't trying to make $20. You know, if you're going to go out there and put that effort in and hold those things for 4 years, 5 years long, more power to you. If you're going to go out there and go buy some Pokemon stuff or Funko Pops and or the NECA stuff and you selling it for a $10 profit, you got what are you doing with your life? Selling it for a $10 profit after all that? We'll just leave that shit on the shelf for somebody else. And for me, I buy a lot of that stuff. I always do this. I always lock my brother in for like a Christmas. My brother's a doctor. For Christmas and for his birthday, I always lock him in for NECA Teenage Mutant Turtle stuff. Like, I'm like, I have enough NECA Teenage Mutant Turtle stuff for the next like 5 years for him because he never buys them. I always give it to him as a gift. But if you're out there flipping stuff, you know, that's like a sin. The only time you can get a pass on that is if it's a Comic-Con and you're going to the con and you're trying to pay for your trip there, because it's really hard for people in that sense to not sell them because, you know, a con sticker from the Funko booth during Comic-Con, you're taking basically $15 pops that are going to be duds and you're selling them for $50 to $100. So all power to those people. But regular exclusives, commons, you guys you got mind picking them and trying to sell them real quick like that. That's disgusting.
So actually, speaking of cons, I know you're a big con guy. Do you have any good brief stories? Any juicy
I got
stories?
the greatest comic stories in the history of
All right, so rattle your mind for like 1 sec and pick like a really, really good juicy one. I've only been to a few cons, so I definitely don't have as much to talk about as you might.
There's just so many remembrance from those. They're more for like private sessions. Like, I say this stuff to people in person because some of the stuff that, you know, happens in Funko stays in Funko, you can say.
Sure.
The Comic-Con stuff was always, I usually recorded a lot of it, you know, trying to sneak into booths, showing up to Funko and just walking right into the booth and, you know, trying to pay people off at the con so you can skip a line, you know. You have to hustle at San Diego Comic-Con because, you know, going there, if you got into any booth. So if you don't know anybody, you better get your hustle on. And if you a shy individual, keep your ass home because it's going to be the most disappointing time in your life. I'm telling you now, I didn't get in any cons in 2019. Man, that was rough. I had to hustle as much as I can. Me and Clyde from Brooklyn Geek, just bam, he knows all these people sitting there, paying people, getting in, trying to make the best of it. If not, you're gonna. Oh
my God! If you're a shy person, there's so many people. I mean, people just come up and talk. People like come up, talk to you, touch you, like, especially if you're wearing a costume. No personal space.
you have a problem. And there's no one like directing you where to go. Like, okay, you guys
No.
know it's 2 o'clock. We're all gonna go over to this
No.
booth. It's
You better
nothing.
like put your listening ears on and listen to that little microphone that you could barely hear in the background, or
Yeah.
just like follow the flock of like where a majority of people go. But like, no, there's
It's not
nobody
a
telling you where to go.
If you don't know how to hustle, you're going to be sitting online. Imagine going to New York Comic Con, and you basically spent the entire day on the mezcal line, just hoping that you can get these figures, and that's your whole day. You know, and you may have missed out on the exclusive after waiting the entire day.
So then what would you being, I mean, that the con scene is very overwhelming. What kind of advice would you give somebody who's just starting to go? And now we're talking about like before all this nonsense happened, when it was still able to
Right.
go, but like when they ever open back up again, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who is thinking about going for the first time?
I would tell them to go on YouTube right away. Make sure you know to sign up for all the lotteries. When the lotteries drop, go follow the people on Instagram that also post that. Once you find out what lotteries you want to enter in, because you have to choose, because you only get like a certain amount of points to use. And I just put all my points in the Funko, to be honest, and throw some little stuff around it elsewhere. But you want to make sure you can find out what boots you in, because once you get in the boots, then you have your plan, because then I'll tell you what day. Now, if you have the booth on a Thursday and you're going to New York Comic Con, you are only going there for the booth, and you're going home, because you're not going to want to walk around with these huge bags of Funko Pop.
Yeah.
You literally are going there and going home. So that's your day for New York Comic Con. And if you don't have a 4-day pass and that's your only pass, that's it. So make sure if you're going to go, it's usually worth for New York Comic Con at least to get the 4-day pass. That, schedule your days. Usually on Thursday, I just do like a whole showcase. Like I try to show my face. I do my thing. Usually like Friday, I'll get in the booth. Saturday, I literally put a hoodie on. Nobody knows who the hell I am. And I just go to all the individual shops and just go hunting for my own stuff. And that's always been my strategy on there. Like, Thursday.
So having a plan is important.
Right. And preview night's the best night to go. So if you can get preview night, it's the least attendance night. So if you can get into those, that's the best time to do it. And then, when Friday comes and then Saturday comes, it's so busy. Sunday's time to go. If you go there too late on Sundays, these people don't want to pack up their stuff. You can negotiate all those prices at the end of the day down. You look for Hot Toy, you get $100 off. Funko Pops, $50 off. You're just trying to get stuff. They don't want to pack stuff up and bring it home.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So when cons finally do return, whenever they do you think, if anything, that they'll change? Like, do you think anything is going to change in the con scene?
Something they can't even do. There's no way they're gonna be able to do 6 feet apart standing on a line at a con. That's just gonna be absurd. They're gonna have to do.
Do you think they might hold off on doing cons until they can open it back up to where it's regular smush to smush person?
Nah, they might do what the greatest football team in the whole world would do, the Dallas Cowboys. How you doing? Jerry Jones is over there. He opens up his stadium to 1/3 capacity, so he can fill 1/3 of people in there. So 1/3 at 6 feet apart at a Comic-Con for a toy shop or any of these companies is a home run. The other problem is New York City. I ain't flocking going to New York City right now, or in the next like 5 years, unless somebody personally drives me and drops me off at the Javits Center, and I can walk right in. I am not getting spit on. I ain't getting robbed. I ain't getting no bums by me. I don't want to see no crazy shit. I just want to go.
I mean, New York is as empty as it'll ever be, so this might just be your best time to go.
I don't know, man. It's cold in New York during the winter. Why would you be in New York? I
live in Connecticut, which is right next door. My weather is New York weather. I didn't choose to grow up here. Trust me. Before I'm 30, I will be.
Stay in New York. Go to Florida. Go somewhere warm. It's cheaper too.
I know. Actually, I have a good segue. So I've seen a lot of like con pops to watch videos that you used to do. And how do you determine like which pops will be keepers? Like when you see them in the release?
Studs and duds. Studs and duds.
Yeah.
Studs and duds is based off of my predictions of what series that I believe that have best taste, and stuff that has been missing from series that finally have showed up. And if it shows up, that's going to be a stud over time. That's why, again, best thing that ever
How
happened
often
to
are
me,
you right?
every time. There's people.
Okay.
So this is what happens. A lot of it happens is people think the short game with these studs and duds video. I always think 3 years, 4 years. That's how long you're supposed to keep a collectible for, 3 or 4 years. Then you could determine the value of it. You can't do that with an inflated market as soon as a pop comes out. Oh my, we're talking about it. It's going for $45. I'm like, call me in like 3 years. But if the series and the figures, the character's really popular and we've been begging for it, or the design of it's really unique, that is going to be your go-tos on that. So it's all personal preference, and being part of pop culture, you kind of know, because that's the one thing I do over it in every single ever YouTube video channel I've ever seen. I collect I learn stuff from experience. It's the best way to learn anything.
I agree.
I collect every single series of collectible to dabble in. I started with Pokemon stuff, Funko Pops. I got into Marvel Legends this year. I did Mezcos. I bought 100 Hot Toys, 100 plus Hot Toys in 1 year. I got into some statues, Nano Droids, SH Figure Arts, off the charts, Figma. You name modern pop NECA figures, Super 7, Mythic Legions. I dabbled in every single thing so I can gain as much knowledge as I can.
So you know what though? Speaking of that, and I'm gonna bring it back to the first collectible item that you mentioned, Pokemon. First question. Do you think it's in a bubble right now or what?
Hell no.
No. Okay.
I believe that.
I was more specifically new, like, product. So old product will always be expensive. Do you think the new product craze is like a bubble?
So I think in the next 15 months, Pokemon has no chance to keep up with the actual collecting market. Usually they have enough product on the shelves that can sustain the actual people buying them. If you go to any Target or Walmart, there isn't anything in there.
Wait,
correct?
So they just released a statement that at the end of 2021, beginning of 2022, that they're going to be just flooding, like pushing out. They're changing distribution, like companies, so they're going to be
basically another center. So 15 months, but they're not going to, they can say they flood all they want, but if they overflow, you got some product on the shelves. If you got product,
but then the bubble kind of
popped at that point. We're talking about 15 months. We're not talking about today. Logan Paul just bought $2 million worth of Pokemon cards. He just invested. I believe that he just took my Pokemon collection from what it was to another $50,000 from his one video today. Because what do I own? I own old school Pokemon stuff, Wizard of Coast stuff. I own 20 of those evolution boxes. They sell for $1,000 now. I paid $100 for them. I got stuff on there for $10,000 that have 15 watches on it on some other boxes that I paid $100 for. So this is how I knew it too, because once COVID started, I knew right away to jump into Pokemon because Pokemon is based off of a TCG game player where they have rotations on Pokemon cards. So if they have their rotation where at the end of each couple months they have to swipe out that series, and for the new one they will not be able to meet demand for all those other cards because of COVID and China not be able to distribute them to the United States. Then with that happening, and then Logan Paul and the rest of the internet blowing up the entire goddamn universe, they literally left no cards on the shelves for anyone. And the one thing about Pokemon that is the best about every single product, the same thing with Lego. I actually said this before I was about to make my exit in when I did for my channel 6 months ago. Lego and Pokemon cards are the only two companies that every single kid growing up remembers and goes through.
All right. So before we wrap up, because I think I've asked you enough at this point, is there anything? Oh, I know, and I trust me, I prefer that. But is there anything you have coming up that you want to talk about? I know you're kind of like you are doing a million things. So is there anything special coming up?
Lately, I've just been hanging out with my girlfriend so much. I'm having a great time hanging out with her. But besides that, collecting wise, you know, even though I don't post videos, I buy collectibles like no other, and I've been selling my collectibles like no other. Just like when we talk about stud and duds, I literally went from collecting, you know, what I would consider now dud hot toys. I'm just like, nah, I'm only gonna collect studs and not get addicted to the collecting completist on that. I got a fight in April out of state, and then we're supposed to be, if everything works out, we'll fight back at Madison Square Garden as their first co-feature public audience at the Garden. I think it'll be like an ESPN kind of fight at the end of August. So in that sense, I got that, and I'm getting back to my scheduled program on content. I bought a 20-foot shipping container that has AC, lighting, heating, highly insulated, and I house a big collection in there. When I moved all my stuff in there, I never organized it, and I would just let some collectors come over and just dig through it and just pick out what they want. But I finally got that. I've been working on it for the past like month, just every day, just organized. I got all these shelving unit in there and these bins coming in and out so that I can literally have a, you know, if somebody asked me what my job was, because my new girlfriend thinks she doesn't even know that I box because she only sees me. She's like, "Oh, you a toy collector?" I said, "Nah, I'm basically a professional reseller at this point, you know." And it's the funnest and easy. If I recommend every single person who's a collector to get into the reselling game, not the flipping game. You know, I'm talking about. I'm a full-time reseller at this point. Full-time reseller. I'm not saying go work a job all day and then you sell stuff. I'm literally a full-time reseller. I make $80,000 a year selling collectibles, and I buy new stuff that by the time I'm ready to sell it, it goes up in value. So very smart with my money. That's my Jewish in me. I love collecting. I love being part of the communities. I love being a gladiator and being a geek. You know, that's why I got it. You know, I'm that guy that, and
definitely
I know a lot of people like
thing.
That's literally what, like, I love working out and I love collecting stuff. And
thank you very much, Cletus, for coming on, King of Pop, aka Viper. I really appreciate you coming on, sharing your insight and your, you know, very, very popular, unpopular opinions.
You're absolutely right. And one thing about the villain is once they're gone, they're the ones that everybody misses the most.
I mean, they keep it exciting. Without the villain, the hero doesn't have anything to do.
Who gives a shit about the damn hero?
I mean, who are you talking to? I'm all horror all the time. I'm all about the villains constantly.
Who wants to see the hero? Because most likely that hero is some corporate.
And there you go. And that's why people enjoy you, because, you know. Thank you so much for coming on and like taking time tonight to chat with me. I really appreciate it. You were very, entertaining, and this was very fun to stare at. I don't know that I've ever met another like I have a mullet. I've never met an actual person with like a mullet to date. So yeah, happy to check that off.
I think, you know, fast food. Listen, you gotta be different. People want to know why their channel don't grow, because they ain't different. They just the same people. So
amen.
Jazz it up. Yeah. How you say it? What does that say? Jazzy?
Jazzy.
Jazzy. See, look, jazz it up, Jazzy.
There you go.
Pop.
Well, Mr. King of Pop, I hope you have a wonderful and safe weekend in Salem. And I mean, I'm sure I'll want to chat with you again. So
I don't blame you.
be ready.
All right.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that very entertaining live and kind of enjoyed it this way. I know that, you know, there's not like a lot of, or none rather, like live interaction, but in the interest of like interviews, there's not a ton of live interaction anyways, because, you know, my focus is on the guest. So feel free to drop your comments. Let me know what you guys thought. And if you guys have anybody that you think I should bring on or that have like really good opinions or knowledge based in any kind of collecting world, feel free to drop them in the comments and I will, you know, do my due diligence. I said it right. Who is ready for me to mess that up? Me too. But I hope you guys enjoy. This light is just like making my face dissipate right now. But next week we're gonna have Weird Flex on. And I mean, I have a ton of things to talk about with him as well. So until then, I love you guys so very much. Thank you again to Cletus, Viper, King of Pop. Thank you very much. And I love you guys, and I'll see you next week.